So we'll start this like we normally do. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to episode number 28 of Merritt in the Morning.
Can you believe that?
I cannot believe it. We even have sponsors.
Yes.
So we made it longer than most. Do one more little adjustment here. There we go. So let me pull up our slide. Jim, I really need to be younger. I really need to be younger.
It's okay. People know us. They
do know us. They know that
it's ham and eggs.
They know that we are vaguely professionals. So
they like our message.
They do like our message.
We do like your message.
And people apparently watch us.
Yes.
So thank you very much for watching. As I mentioned, you're watching Merritt in the Morning with your host, Jim Merritt. That's him. Brad Kloffenstein. That's me. Jim, I finally figured out how to make us bigger when we're going through this, our little intro, so people can actually see us now.
Excellent.
We're coming to you, if you're watching on Facebook, live from Cafe Audrey's at beautiful Fort Harrison. Open for breakfast and lunch 7 days a week. Beer and wine available, which is very good for me.
What kind of beer?
They have Alpsprout beer, Jim.
And very good coffee.
There we go. And very good coffee.
Great
so
coffee. All sorts of brands.
yeah, so this all dovetails together. We're also sponsored and brought to you by Alpsprout beer. Remember, so very, very Bavarian. Ask for it by name. Thank you also to our sponsor, Stockyards Bank and Trust, Central Indiana locations, 71st and Binford, Carmel, downtown Indianapolis, Plainfield, St. Francis Hospital, and all over Southern Indiana and Kentucky.
Yes.
So now
But
that
it's not in the hospital.
it is not in the hospital at St. Francis. If you
It's in the area.
yes. Now, St. Francis Hospital will take your money, but you'll never see it again.
Isn't that true?
So we're also brought, I made Jim laugh. It's a rare.
Sorry, Jim Callahan.
We're also brought to you by the Honey Baked Ham Company.
I like him.
I love ham. They have
Yeah.
more than just ham. They have
Yeah,
other
they do.
stuff. You can get whole
Soup.
meals, soup.
Oh,
Yeah, you can
Delicious
eat lunch
stuff.
there.
Yeah, you can, and
It
they'll
is really
sell
good.
you their mustard. Jim's one of their
Mhm.
biggest mustard.
I'm a
I'm a
Big
huge
mustard.
mustard
Yep.
person. Mustard over ketchup all
Yeah.
day.
Yep.
sweet mustard. There's
So-
it's delicious there.
Locations at 96th in Michigan and Greyhound Pass in Carmel. If you find Menards, you can find Honey Baked Ham.
Yes.
That's the best rule of thumb.
And you know, the Kalb sisters are gonna greet you.
Yes.
Mike Kalb's daughters work there, and it's a gold mine for them. They do such a great job. Greet you with a smile, and you know, they have tables. You can just walk in, order a ham sandwich or whatever you want, and you can eat right there.
Yeah.
And our friend Jerry Tor did it. Did you
Did
know
he?
that?
I know, I didn't know. So Jerry and John Tor were our guests 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
On Merritt in the Morning.
Mm-hmm.
So they immediately went to Honey Baked Ham, and
Yeah.
good for
Ham
him.
sandwich.
Thanks, Jerry, for supporting our sponsors.
Thank you, Jerry.
I'll do that next.
There you go. All
I
right.
got you.
So this week, we're talking energy,
Yes.
reliable energy, as a matter of fact. And
Absolutely.
with us, we have Savanna Kerstiens. There we go.
Very good.
So you are communications director for Reliable Energy,
Yes, Vice President of Communications.
vice president of communications. So when we're talking reliable energy, let's start with defining that for our audience.
Yeah. Reliable energy. Should I look this way?
Yeah, just look at the camera. You can look at the window. You look at us. Look wherever you want.
Okay. Well, reliable energy is energy that works regardless of weather conditions. In our case in Indiana, it's our baseload power source, which is coal, meaning that we have an abundance amount of this power source. We don't have to import it. It's right here in our land. So it is the most affordable source and it is the most reliable source. Again, reliable meaning it works 24/7 around the clock at a flip of the switch.
Yeah, good. Klopp, this is the former Indiana Coal Association
Right.
with some other partners.
I forgot my license plate.
Oh.
I had a Friends
You
of
told
Coal.
that, yes.
I had a Friends of Coal license plate. I was
Oh,
at
yeah.
license plate number CO202.
Well, there are some people that know that I work for the Indiana Railroad and they haul a lot of coal for AES. And the coal industry has some situations that are going on that you know, people think of it as being a dirty source of energy. But it is Indiana, and there have been 18 coal plants that have been retired, and Indiana is growing, Klopp. And every time that you hear an economic development project or opening for instance, the chips plant up in Lafayette, that U.S. Senator Todd Young did such a great job of bringing money to Indiana, and Mitch Daniels and everybody in Lafayette did a really good job of this. But we've talked about water on this program a lot with the LEAP project, but as well as the more demand that we have on our electricity system, the more reliable. And when you're talking about politics, you're talking about politics in Indiana, you're talking about energy. Reliability is number one. And what John Ford, who couldn't be here today, he's president of Reliable Energy, and Savanna are trying to do is kind of rebrand the issue, because it is something that is so very important to Indiana in regards to, number one, employment, but number two, and probably more importantly, is to power Indiana. And it's their goal to make Indiana and the Hoosiers, the citizens, coal friendly, if you will. And Savanna, we've known each other for a while, and I know you understand marketing. I know you understand the idea of a different message. How and what is your responsibility to re-educate Indiana, and as well as the 150 legislators at the State House?
Yeah, well, thank you for that question. I would start out by saying to one of the comments you made about coal being typically known as a not so clean source. I myself was misinformed driving by, coal-fired
And you
power
grew up in
plant.
Southern Indiana?
And yes, I'm from Jasper, Indiana, Germantown. But driving by, you see that smoke in the air. It's actually water vapor.
Yeah, it's
Hoosiers have paid, our utilities paid, I think, gosh, billions and billions in, what was it, 2012, before 2012, of cleaning coal. So meaning putting scrubbers in these power plants to clean the source.
Most people, when they read the Indianapolis Star, they see something on in the paper of these smokestacks with smoke coming out. It's kind of it's intuitive that you think that's pollution.
Correct. Yes.
And it's not.
Yes. So kind of going back to what John and I are doing, right, to bring awareness to this issue is, one of the things we did not too long ago is we did polling. This kind of goes with the affordability side, but I'll bring it back to the reliability side in a second. On the affordability side, 74% of Hoosiers are worried about the cost of electricity, meaning to afford their monthly utility bills. In Southern Indiana, where I'm from, CenterPoint Energy is the utility. And I don't know if you saw in the news recently, but they had the IURC, the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission, had a public hearing about CenterPoint's rate increase proposal. Over 500 Hoosiers from that area in the state showed up at 2 p.m. on a weekday to oppose those rates. And if you listen to the testimony, I mean, it is devastating to listen to how these high rates affect them.
Mhm.
And Brad and I were talking before you got here, Indiana, and I know you know this, not even a little over 10 years ago, were the 5th lowest in the nation. We paid the 5th lowest electric rates in the nation.
Mhm.
At this time, we now pay the 32nd highest rates in the nation.
And Klopp, what you hear is fear.
Yeah.
Fear of increases, fear of being able to actually pay your utility bill. And it's really out of their control.
Well, and Jim used to sit on the utility committee for the Senate.
I was chairman of the utility committee
For a number of years.
16.
And you have, my impression is you have competing interests. I mean, I think everybody likes the notion of green energy, but green energy can be kind of expensive, especially on the front end as it's a developing technology. Hoosiers also want low utility rates. And sometimes those things are at loggerheads to where if you want it cheap, it's sometimes going to have to be fossil fuels.
Mm-hmm.
You also have the issue, at least in my mind, and I'm somewhat of a simpleton on this, but the wind doesn't always blow and the sun doesn't always shine. So for those to be reliable sources of energy, you somehow have to be able to store that, which generally means batteries.
Which are
Yes, whereas, power, lithium, and there's a whole other issue of pollution that goes along with the production of batteries. So then that leaves you with coal or hydroelectric, which can at least generate power.
Natural gas.
Natural gas,
Right.
nuclear.
Mhm.
So,
nuclear.
Yeah, no,
And I just want to make it clear too, reliable energy, we support all of the above. We're not just coming here saying, keep coal, continue to build coal plants. That's not what we're saying at all. We're saying right now at this time, we have functioning coal plants. It makes absolutely no sense as we kind of look into the future of hitting this CO2 free kind of, you know, policy decision in the future. We have to make sure that if we're gonna shut down a source, we have to have another source to replace it.
Right.
And right now, we don't have that. So as we shut down our coal power plants in favor of another fossil fuel like natural gas that has to be imported to the state, that cost gets passed on to ratepayers. So we're kind of advocating for, you know, Jim and I have talked about this a lot, nuclear. We support nuclear, but we know that takes a long time, and you know better than I do.
expensive.
It's
Mhm.
expensive, but it takes a long time to build, but it's a source that I would call a reliable energy source.
And
it's a
green.
clean, yes,
Reliable, safe and green.
yes.
Yeah.
So,
Back in 1991, when I was campaigning in 88 and 89 for the Indiana Senate, I did a lot of work and understanding energy just because I thought it was a big part of our world as it is today. And at that time, 96% of all the power in the state was created by a base load of coal. And now it's with the 18 plants that have been retired, if you will, it's what, 48% right now, half. But it's important that we keep coal at the table because it's gotten cleaner through the world, through the years.
Mhm.
And it's something that we all, if we're gonna wanna grow the economy, we're gonna have to have that reliable energy.
And, oh.
Well, I was gonna say, for economic development, I mean,
yes.
energy is always the component of any industrialized society. And, you know, dependable and cheap energy is what you really need, especially if you're gonna be a manufacturing power.
Yes.
And yeah, there's no reason that I can see to hamstring ourselves by taking the most reliable and available source off the table.
Right. In our IEDC, we keep talking about building these data centers right here in the state.
Yep.
Semiconductor projects, like
Battery.
Young, battery, all of these
Up in South
projects,
Bend, the battery.
they require an immense amount of power. And right now, projections coming from MISO, our grid operator, is showing that we're not meeting, we're borderline meeting demand.
Mhm.
And we're not projecting yet what those data centers, right, that we're attracting. And there's so many in the pipeline right now that we're not talking about. So the General Assembly will have to do something about this coming legislative session or in the near future, or else we're going to lose out on some of these projects.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, you mentioned data centers. There's the one that's in the old Eastgate Mall over at Washington and Shadeland. My understanding is that one center uses as much energy as the rest of the east side combined.
There's no question about it. And in the base load, I don't think Indiana is ready for brownouts and
No,
blackouts.
just ask California how it's going for them.
Now, in your polling, I'm sure you asked other questions. What things did you learn through that?
I would say the amount of Hoosiers. So let me start with this. It's hard since in Indiana, we've not experienced those blackouts like in California. They have routine rolling blackouts. So it's hard to say you're worried about something that you've not experienced before, correct?
True.
I mean, we saw what happened in Texas, right? It was devastating. I mean, people died because of the power outages. Indiana has colder winters and warmer summers.
Well,
Maybe not as
spoiled
cold as-
because we've had the reliable load.
Exactly. So what we don't realize is that, and this is also, by the way, this is according to not reliable energy. This is energy experts, NERC, FERC, MISO, our grid operator, Jim Houston, who's our IURC chair, was just in a congressional hearing, 2 months ago about grid reliability. And it is a problem. If we're going to continue to shut down reliable power sources, we have to have something to back it up. So from the polling perspective, just, I don't have the numbers on top of my head, unfortunately, but I'm happy to share those after this. But again, majority of Hoosiers are really concerned with the affordability part, but the reliability part is just not there because they're not.
They haven't
seeing it
experienced.
yet.
I would think a prime example for Hoosiers, anybody who lives in southern Indiana, Alcoa has a big plant down in Warwick County. And a few years ago, I believe they make aluminum down there, and it takes a lot of energy on the front end to make aluminum
Right.
from what was it, bauxite? whatever it is. It takes a lot of energy to make aluminum.
Sure.
And so they had their own power plant and their own coal mine, and Alcoa sold those off and then fairly quickly bought them back because they're like, oh yeah, it's a lot cheaper for us to just produce this ourselves
Right.
and run the power plant.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I mean, they clearly know something, and that was their most reliable option and their cheapest option.
Well, you're also saying with AES and other utilities looking into natural gas because they know they don't have the base load to support what we're trying to do with growth in Indiana.
Right.
And that goes with your all above policy or standpoint, but it's just something that it just it's almost like until you don't have something, you don't really value it. And your ideas when we chatted recently about trying to rebrand it and make it a friendly power source, I think it's very important.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And I would say too, kind of on the natural gas front, if you look at a state like Texas, right? Abundant amount of natural gas. But what happened in, what was it, February 2021 during the winter storm? The only reason that their grid didn't completely shut down, which would have been catastrophic compared to what happened already, is because of coal plants, right? And these work with the on and off switch. And I think we take for granted every day when we turn on the light. Why is China building coal plants 15 times more? If I'm saying this correctly, 15 times more, or a higher rate,
Well,
whatever.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
just, they're
Than the
all
United
in on
States.
coal.
But
Yeah.
we're losing to other countries. We're not only losing in Indiana to other states on these projects, we're gonna lose to other countries who are building the low-cost power sources to power these manufacturing plants, to power these economic development projects. So.
Hold that thought. We need to get paid. You're watching Merritt in the Morning with your hosts, Jim Merritt and Brad Kloffenstein. Our guest today is Savanna Kerstiens from Reliable Energy.
Rob Kendall calls you Brad
Kloffenstein. It's
Yeah.
because he has psyched himself out. I've told him 24 times it's Kloffenstein, but he can't remember. And he's like, I
say
can't
it
remember
too.
it's Steen or
It's
Stein.
become
And now,
a thing. It's
and
become
now
a
it's my thing. Really, the only person who gets upset about that is Jerry Tor. So every time he does that to me, Jerry will send me a text. I hate it when he does that. Why can't he just learn your name?
Oh, Tor.
Yes. So thank you very much to our sponsor, Honey Baked Ham, locations 96 in Michigan, Greyhound Pass in Carmel. Also Stockyards Bank and Trust, location 71st in Binford, Carmel, downtown Indianapolis, Plainfield, and somewhere in the vicinity of St. Francis Hospital.
Yes, yeah.
I need to visit that branch just so I can
Yeah.
definitively say where it is.
Yeah, well, they're gonna be in Center Grove as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
They've got a new branch coming down there.
Good old Paul Moan.
Yep.
Mhm.
Oh, Paul's awesome.
Yeah, she is.
Thanks to Alpsbrau beer. So very, very Bavarian, ask for it by name at places like Cafe Audrey's, where we're coming to you right now. Thank you, Cafe Audrey's. You guys
A very cute cafe, by the
Oh,
way.
awesome. Is this your first time here?
This is my first time.
Yeah,
This is really
I'll
cool.
have to eat
and you
it.
have to wait in line.
Now, Jim, I am taking responsibility for that. I think this show has got this place to the point where it seems like every time I come here now, there's a 20-minute wait.
They may make some money.
I think they're making good money.
Hopefully they are.
The-
Tammy.
Yes, Tammy, thank you very much. But yeah,
Tammy.
they let us use their background and yeah, if you ever come in here, we're actually right adjacent to the front door.
Yeah.
So you can see where we do this.
We work hard and be nice.
Yeah, look for the work hard, be nice sign and ask to sit at that table, and you too can have your own Merritt in the Morning reality tour. Nobody wants that. You say that. We keep coming up with guests, so
I
that
know.
tells me that somebody wants to come
Yeah.
on. So, all right, so we're talking energy. Now, before we move on, this conversation reminded me, Jim, you may or may not know, I once ran for lieutenant governor.
Yes, you did.
I did. So back in 2012, I ran with Rupert Bonham,
Mhm,
the guy from Survivor.
mhm.
And I was speaking at a Hoosier Environmental Council event, and Rupert actually showed up to be in the audience. And I've never seen a look on someone's face like I saw at a Rupert when the question about energy and if I was in favor of nuclear energy, and I'm like, yeah, I think nuclear energy is a great option. And just the blank stare I got out of my running mate. And at that moment, I realized, oh, we've never talked about this. So he was
Surprise.
he was terrified. So yeah, our ticket was maybe split on our energy policy a little bit.
Yeah. Well, energy policy is so integral to, the state of Indiana. And, the governor candidates really haven't spoken at all about it.
No.
And that's really a shame. Now, Senator Braun has worked in the US Senate on energy policy, and I have a lot of friends in the alternative energy field that have gravitated to him. But he's from Jasper. He understands the value of coal. And he's an environmentalist. He owns a forest. And so I'm certain if he would be the governor candidate and win as governor in November, that he'll be sensitive to the coal issue.
Oh, I absolutely agree, Jim. I will say, our team has met with majority of the candidates. And to your point, unfortunately, they're not talking about it as much, but I'd also say reporters aren't doing their job by asking about this issue very much.
There are not many
And it
of
was-
them left.
It was, well,
Yeah.
correct, and it was kind of disheartening, MISO comes out with this reliability report, gosh, again, 2 months ago, maybe.
Mhm.
And it was kind of scary talking about we're on our way to a reliability crisis if we don't do something.
Mhm.
Nobody covered it in Indiana.
No. And-
Nobody covered it.
Yeah, and that's really the new media, and there's a new media in the state, and it's us, it's Rob Kendall, it's Abdul, it's maybe Adam Wren with Importantville, and Nikki Kelly. I mean, the media has completely changed in the state of Indiana, and it's all up to us to really talk about what affects Hoosiers directly. And if it's property taxes, but an energy policy doesn't affect anybody until it's right in your face.
Absolutely.
And you've been making the rounds. You know a lot of the legislators because of your activity in politics, and you worked you worked with Jefferson Shreve last election, and thus you understand. Greg Ballard has a really forceful new idea about energy. I guess my question is when you've been making the rounds with the governor candidates and legislators, are they accepting the message?
Yeah, I would say starting with the governor candidates, I think they've all been prepped, or not prepped, but briefed with the reliability report. I think they all know it's an issue. But it's not the winning ticket issue, right? So a lot of them you'll hear talk about healthcare, hospital prices, and why are they so high, and
Fentanyl.
property and fentanyl. I
The
mean,
border.
border. Yeah, absolutely. Right. Because those are Fox News in your face. We're talking about it.
Yeah.
Energy, I'm encouraged by all the candidates, how they view kind of this looming reliability crisis. And they all have some pretty strong plans, including Mike Braun, to address it first day in office. But unfortunately, again, it's not one of those attractive issues that they're talking about on the campaign trail. But I'm hopeful that once in office, regardless of whoever, makes it across the finish line, they will do something about this.
Well, the legislature has done a good job in the last 4 years since I left of focusing in on reliability. They have a 21st century, and this started when I was there still. They have a 21st century energy task force that is made up of the legislature, along with a kitchen cabinet for the governor of people from the public sector. The people that are interested, for instance, Lilly and the industrial sector, and they've done a good job of focusing in on reliability and the pillars that we need to adhere to. And I think they're ready next session to really, with a new governor, give renewed focus on reliability. And that's a good thing for reliable energy.
So, Savanna, have you guys sent questionnaires to the governor's candidates?
We did actually. We're waiting for our responses right now.
Okay.
It's late. People
Yeah.
are voting.
Yeah.
Well, I will say they're actually due today.
Are they due?
Okay.
Yes,
Well-
I'll check my inbox later,
Yeah,
but we
that's
are.
Jim, you say that the last poll that came out last weekend still had 25% of Republicans undecided. So,
You know,
Which is crazy.
You know, in Michigan, they have non-committal or uncommitted.
uncommitted, yes, it's,
So if we had a category, I think we have uncommitted. And, but people won't make a decision on a governor candidate because of reliability on energy, is because what Savanna said is it's not been put in front of them as an emergency. And people only act when it affects them. You will see a process in the next 9 months about reform of property taxes because they got their property tax bill.
Right,
And it probably, there will be some uprising because of energy costs. But to hear that people on a weekday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon came in and talked about Centerpoint, that's remarkable.
absolutely. And that's the affordability side.
Mhm.
And then from the reliability side, going back to the whole, it's hard to get upset or worked up about something that you've not experienced. In Texas, it was one of those situations where a lot of Texans were pushing for, especially as California folks move into Texas, we need more green.
Yep.
And we need more green. Well, then February 2021, the crisis happens, right? Lights go out. All of a sudden now, and we work with a lot of folks in Texas, the media is almost shifted in favor of more fossil fuels because of what happened. So it's almost like it takes the
Pendulum.
crisis, right,
Mhm.
for Indiana. And I'm not at all hoping or
No,
wishing
no.
on a crisis,
No.
but
But we want growth,
we want growth. We want growth.
and growth means power.
But we
the
need
need.
to, we need to prioritize consumers first,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And then, I would love to have some of these, make Indiana a tech haven,
Mhm.
make our state stand out as more tech friendly.
Mhm.
Let's be the new Silicon.
well,
Absolutely.
Savannah, where we're sitting right now is a tech hub. In fact, this was the Mira Award Rising Tech City of 2020 or 2022,
Wow.
right here in Lawrence. So within a quarter mile of where you're sitting, there's at least a dozen tech firms
Mhm.
that are located right here.
Yeah.
So
You know, Klopp, I think it would be beneficial for our listeners and our watchers for Savannah to give a pitch about the importance of reliable energy and that association. And it's not just coal. Savannah,
Wow, putting me on the spot,
Yeah,
put me
Jim.
on the spot.
Always, no. I would say to the audience, if you're fed up with your monthly utility bill, it's only going to increase the way that our kind of policies are leaning towards right now, allowing investor-owned utilities to continue to come before the IURC and ask for rate increases. So that's one part of it, right? The affordability. Number two, reliability. If you don't want to be like California, start to pay attention to what's going on here. And I would say, if you're interested in learning more, follow us on social media. On Facebook, it's Hoosiers for Reliable Energy. On Twitter, we're Reliable Energy Indiana. And our website is www.reliableenergyinc.org. Love to connect, but really kind of one of the things that we're really pushing for next year is, without giving too much away, right? Don't reveal too much. We will need everyone's help in the General Assembly, advocating to their lawmakers why some of these policies we're going to put forward are important. The two things I mentioned, affordability and reliability.
Klopp, that says it all.
it does. Can you still get a license plate?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
I
Friends
can
are
help
cool.
you with that.
Physical.
You know, I don't have one. I need one.
You do need one.
I
It's only
do.
$25. It's-
That's true. That's
Or
true.
a kid's first license plate.
Okay. I've always been amused. The kid's first license plate has the little hands.
Yeah, I designed it.
But did you?
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Oh,
Every
that's
time-
so
yeah, that was my lunch.
Every time I look at it, I feel like some kid just got backed over.
cool. Jim.
Stop. Now, you keep mentioning Texas. I think it's Smithsonian Channel, maybe the History Channel, has a great little documentary, and I think it's called 10 Steps to Disaster. It's a series that they do, but the Texas power outages of what, 2 years ago or 20, was that 2021? Whatever that was.
2021,
Yeah. But it spells it out. It's like, all right, here are the 10 failures in a row that happened that caused us to be a catastrophe. But
Right. And,
Yeah.
and I would say this too, I'm not trying to bash investor-owned utilities at all. Coming from the federal government, we've got all these, right, under the Biden administration, all these EPA regulations coming towards them, right?
Yep.
And fortunately, depending on who the next president is, if we put a Republican in office, a lot of those are going to be pulled back. So hopefully, again, the EPA is not helping when it comes to the cost of fuel. So hopefully that changes and forces itself out.
Well, you said what, we've decommissioned 40 some
Well, 18 in Indiana.
or 18 in Indiana.
And right now we've got 12 more next, so that's set to close, 12
Okay.
more in the next 4 years.
Mm.
We're leading the nation right now, unfortunately, in retirements.
Yeah, well, we probably
As-
led the nation in coal plants, so that makes sense.
True.
So any other closing thoughts?
Thank you, Sav.
Yeah,
Thank you.
appreciate it.
And by the way, I just want to say thank you for allowing us to have this conversation. Again, energy policy is not necessarily the most attractive thing to talk about, but I'm really
And when you
hopeful-
don't have,
Yes,
well,
I mean, we take for granted every day.
people care when they get that $200 a month electric bill.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
so thank you all for watching. Let me go back to our almost closing screen. You have been watching Merritt in the Morning with your host, Jim Merritt, and me, Brad Kloffenstein. Our guest today has been Savanna Kerstiens from Reliable Energy. She's our Vice President of Communications. We've been coming to you from Cafe Audrey's at beautiful Fort Bend. Breakfast and lunch 7 days a week. Beer and wine available. Remember, hashtag food at the fort. You got to do the hashtag, Jim.
Hashtag.
Yeah.
That's a good hashtag.
Thank you very much to Alpsprow Beer for sponsoring. Remember, drink up. Stockyards Bank and Trust. Thank you very much for your support. They were our very first actual sponsor.
Yes.
So we're happy that they've stuck with us. Locations at Central Indiana location, 71st and Benford, Carmel, downtown Indianapolis. That's about a block from the State House. I
Mhm.
think it's at Ohio and Illinois.
Mhm.
They're out in Plainfield. They're near St. Francis Hospital and coming soon to Center Grove. Also, thank you to the Honey Baked Ham Company. Locations at 96th and Michigan, Greyhound Pass and Carmel. They are open for lunch and dinner, I believe, 7 days a week.
Mhm.
So you can eat in, you can carry out. They've got a lot more than just ham. So be sure to check them out. One of these days, we're going to do a show from
I
that.
think we should.
We should. We'll schedule
We'll
that
visit.
with the Calbs and
Mhm.
yeah, we'll take the show on the road. So
For lunch.
for lunch, exactly. Or we'll get to right before the lunch rush. I don't want to interfere with that. So thank you all for watching. We will catch you again in 2 weeks.